Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Brian Zach here with you. Today's video is about endorsements. What are they and how do you get them? All right, so in the past week, I've had a few drummers ask me, how do I get endorsements? How do I land an endorsement? If I want to, there's a specific company that I want to be playing or using it in my drum kit, and how do I go about making this deal happen? And it's a complicated answer, and it's going to be different for everyone. And really, all I can do is speak for my own experiences in getting endorsements with the companies that I endorse. Let's do that. Let's talk about that. But first, I want to talk about what is an endorsement. When you endorse a company, it's just that you are endorsing the company and not vice versa. In other words, the company is not endorsing you. Okay, so that's an important distinction to make. You are endorsing the company. You are signing on with this company saying, I use and believe in this product and in this company for these reasons. And really, if you're going to endorse a company or a product, you should already be using that product in your setup, in your playing somehow. You should be somewhat familiar with the company, the products that they make. You should believe in their products. You should maybe love their products. You believe in their quality, their craftsmanship, their aesthetics, and really like what the company represents. So in other words, if you're a bebop player, you probably wouldn't want to endorse and align yourself with a drum company that only makes drums for metal drummers. Now, I don't know if there is a drum company that only makes drums for metal drummers, but if that were a thing, then that would not be a good endorsement deal for you as a bop drummer. Okay, so just some important things to think about before you go and signing with your first endorsement deal. Make sure that it's a good deal for both parties. In other words, you are providing value for the company, and the company provides value for you. All right, that's an important thing. The other thing to think about is you're gonna have to have some success before endorsement deals and opportunities start coming your way. If you're just starting out and you're only playing, I don't know if you're playing your first gig or you're just starting out as a student or what have you, unless you're making some noise in the industry somehow, or you're showing your success through maybe a record that's selling, or if you have a really popular YouTube channel, or maybe like a lesson program, or if you're just on the road constantly with different artists and performing in front of large audiences, unless you have a lot of eyeballs on you as a player, and you're making some kind of statement within the drum industry, if you're not doing those things, you're probably not going to find any success trying to obtain an endorsement of really any kind. And really, if there is a company that is paying you attention and you don't have this kind of thing going on, you might be weary of that because, maybe they're just trying to sell you something that, you could do without. And you don't want to sign into any contracts that sort of lock you into anything that is going to be detrimental to you in the near or far future. So, something to remember. Another thing to remember is that with endorsements, it needs to be and should be like a relationship with the artist rep or reps and or the people that work there for the company. It's a relationship, and if you've ever been in a relationship, you probably know that relationships can take time to develop, and it can take sometimes years to develop. So you really should be patient and not try to force anything to happen that isn't naturally happening on its own. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'll tell you about some of the ways to obtain an endorsement with a drum company. And I'm going to tell you about some of the ways that I've obtained my endorsements over the years. My first real endorsement was with a drumstick company that is no longer. It was a drumstick company called Driven. And it was sort of a derivative of the European brand Ogner drumsticks. They were trying to develop a drumstick here in the U.S., market a drumstick here in the U.S. That was owned by Ogner. Ogner is a Swiss-made company that makes drumsticks and mallets and what have you. And they're a very successful company over in Europe, but not so much here in the States because nobody really knows the brand name. Anyway, long story short, that company is no longer, and obviously the endorsement sort of fizzled with the company. Not long after that, I discovered Istanbul Agop cymbals, and I was on a mission to be playing Istanbul Agop cymbals because I was so unhappy with the cymbals that I had been playing up to that point. I just couldn't find the sounds that I wanted. And it wasn't until I played Istanbul Agop where I found the sound that was the sound. That was it right there. And so I got real excited, and I did everything I could to try and meet the artist rep at Istanbul Agop. So the following year, I went to a NAMM in Anaheim, a NAMM convention, and Istanbul Agop had their booth there, and I just went up to the booth and introduced myself, and I told them I met the artist reps there. There were two of them at the time, and I told them how much I love their cymbals, how much I really wanted to play their cymbals, because it was the sound that I was hearing in my head for all these years of my adult life and professional career. And so upon introducing myself, I got to tell them a little bit about the gigs that I was doing and the kind of work and kind of drummer that I am or see myself as. And so fast forward a whole nother year, a whole nother calendar year goes by. Nothing had happened. I did not have an endorsement. I still wasn't playing their cymbals. A whole nother year went by and I still wasn't playing Istanbul Agop. I still had all my old cymbals and was playing all of those on my gigs around town and wherever else I was going. So I went to the next NAMM, the following year, and went right back to the booth at Istanbul Agop. And again, just reinforced everything that I said the first time around and said, I'm still just like through the roof, ecstatic. I just want to play your cymbals. It just means the world to me to have the sound that your cymbals make. And if you know, I mean, Istanbul Agop, it's kind of hard to find in stores. And I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and there's no drum shops in Las Vegas. At least there weren't at the time. And the only thing they had was Guitar Center and Sam Ash, and neither of those carried any of the Istanbul Agop cymbals. So I wasn't really able to buy anything unless I bought it on the web, which I kind of had a problem with because I wasn't able to try them out and play them and hear them with my own ears and play them with my own hands, my own sticks, and just get a feel for like what that cymbal sounds like in the room. That's an important part for me. That's an important thing for me, and especially at the time when I wanted a whole new set of cymbals, and I didn't want to buy blindly on the web. So it was important for me to try out the cymbal in person. So this second time around at the NAMM, the artist rep told me, okay, here's what you do. Give me a month, get back to me, and we can set up an appointment for you to come to LA and visit the warehouse. You can pick out whatever it is you want while you're here. I was like through the roof. I mean, I was so happy. It was going to the warehouse. It was like the best Christmas ever. Being able to pick out my own set of cymbals from the company that I wanted to play. That was just my dream sound for cymbals. Pretty awesome, I have to say. So that's how I started endorsing Istanbul Agop. Did I sign a contract? I don't remember signing anything. I don't know, I may have. If I did, I think it was open-ended, so there's no limit. It's not like, oh, it's only 2 years or 3 years long or something like that. Nope, I'm pretty sure it's just kind of a handshake deal, and to this day, I can contact the artist rep at Istanbul Agop and ask him for what I want and need, and hopefully they, if they have it in the warehouse, they'll provide it at a certain artist discount that they give me. So bam, there's one way to land or obtain an artist endorsement. Another way would be to have, and this happened to me also, I had a friend, I was at a NAMM, probably the year after or sometime after the Istanbul Agop deal happened, and I was at the NAMM and hanging out with a friend of mine who was endorsed with Aquarian drumheads, and we were talking, we were hanging out, and he invited me over to the booth. He introduced me to Chris Brady over at Aquarian, and we got to talking, and basically my friend just gave me the highest recommendation and said to Chris, hey, this is Brian Zach, you should know him, and you should check him out because he's a great drummer and he would be a great drummer to be on your artist roster. And so that was how that deal happened for me with Aquarian drum heads. So that was really, really cool. Jimmy Keegan was the guy who introduced me to Chris Brady. And so many thanks to you, Jimmy Keegan, if you're out there watching this. I'm still with Aquarian after all these years. And yeah, proud endorser there. So really cool. That's what a great way to get introduced and to obtain a long relationship with a great drum company as Aquarian is, of course. Another way, and this also happened to me, I was living in Nashville, as I am now, and a friend was in town, and she said she was going over to the Innovative Percussion warehouse to take a tour. She said she knew somebody who was working there at the warehouse, and she called me up and she asked me, hey, would you want to come along and just check it out and meet the people at Innovative Percussion? And hey, you just never know like what's going on. You know, something might happen. You don't know. I don't even think she said that, but I guess in my mind I thought, well, this could be a cool opportunity. And not really knowing what to expect and not really knowing much about Innovative Percussion at the time. But I just took the opportunity to meet a friend, and we're gonna take a tour through a drumstick factory. Wow, that sounds cool. So went over there, took the tour, was insanely impressed by their quality, their craftsmanship, their attention to detail, their quality control, and was also impressed with all the different models and makes and products that they had available that they were making and selling. And so I, got to talking with the artist rep there, and at the time I was with another drumstick company, but I was very unhappy with what was going on with that company that I had been currently with, and I felt ignored and just kind of felt like I was getting the runaround. People, emails weren't answered, or if they were answered, they were passing me on to somebody else within the company, and it was just very sort of vague as to what was going on, and just sort of being mismanaged quite a bit. So I was pretty dissatisfied with that other company. And so I expressed all of this to the artist rep at IP, and they were sympathetic to that, and they were willing to sign me on. So there you go. There's another way to obtain an endorsement, is just take a tour, maybe go to their warehouse or their headquarters, and maybe you might have to book an appointment. You might have to find out who to talk to ahead of time, but go and take a tour of the facility, show your interest, show that you want to be involved. That can go a long way. And again, it's so far I have to say, all three of these methods of obtaining an endorsement, they're all meeting somebody in person. Okay, this is really important, because in this day and age when we have social media and email and what have you, text messaging, phone chops and stuff, it's really, you cannot beat meeting the right people in person and shaking hands and smiling and getting a feel for who you're talking to, and for them especially to get a feel for who they're talking to, meaning they're talking to you and they're sizing you up. They're able to, do you make them feel comfortable? Do your interests and do your does your playing align with what that company is all about, and can they is it advantageous for them to sign basically a business deal with you? And so you have to really take that into consideration. Sending a direct message on Instagram or on Facebook or any other social media platform, that's probably not going to work, really. You can use those as tools to stay connected with somebody that you've met in person already. That makes a ton of sense. But as far as meeting and developing a relationship with somebody, it really, if you can do it in person, that's the best way, always, in my book. Call me old school, but there's just no other way that is any better than that. Meet them in person, shake hands, smile, tell them about yourself, introduce yourself, and let them get a vibe from you and see what you're all about, and make them feel comfortable, So the last way that I can think of, and that happened to me, to obtain an endorsement was I was going out on a 10-week bus tour. This is back in 2015. And I needed drum cases, like badly. I needed hard shell drum cases for like a 6-piece kit, I think it was. I had 4 toms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6-piece kit. It was a bus tour, and the drums were going to be packed up and they were going to go on the truck, and I just needed drum cases that were going to hold up for a 10-week long tour. And this was like through winter and everything, so I really needed cases that would do a great job protecting my drums, but also be easy enough to handle, just packing, unpacking, sort of almost on a daily basis. And so I contacted Humes Berg and wrote them an email, I think it was, and I detailed the tour, and I explained, what I was about to embark on and what I needed for cases. And the answer that I got back was very positive, and hey, we can help you out with this. We have everything that you need, and we're also willing to offer you an artist discount and put you on our artist roster. Which I didn't even ask. I wasn't even thinking that about an endorsement with this company. So it really just sort of landed in my lap in a lot of ways. And of course, I said yes because it made a ton of sense, and they were offering me a discount right then and there. And so there you have it. There's another way of landing or obtaining an endorsement with a drum company. I was just going out on a big tour. So maybe you have a big tour coming up, or a big album release with a huge tour, or a whole bunch of string of shows that are going to be sold out, and maybe you're opening for another really successful band, or if you just have something on the calendar that's pretty significant and you need such and such gear for this gig in order for the gig to happen and to be successful, reach out to a company that you want to play or use their products for, and ask them, hey, this is what I need, and just wondering, what can you do for me? Um, do you have the products, and if so, are you willing to maybe give me a discount on these products because such and such I'm doing this tour or that tour. You never know. It doesn't hurt to ask. Um, I will add this: never, never. When the answer comes back from a company that you've asked about getting an endorsement with, and the answer is no. In other words, you've asked for an endorsement, or the idea of maybe the possibility of you endorsing the company comes up, and the company says no. Don't take it personally. It could be just that the company is in a phase right now where they're just not signing any artists, and you could be Simon Phillips, and they're just gonna say no. It's possible. After all, these are companies, and they need to make money, and they need to protect their finances, and there's certain seasons where I think some of the companies will be more open to signing new artists. Um, so you just don't take it personally. And the other thing is, like, you know, just because they say no this year doesn't mean maybe next year or the following year or somewhere down the line they might say yes later on. Maybe, like I said, maybe there's just some restructuring going on with the company, or they're just, again, protecting their finances, or maybe they just have enough artists, and the artist reps are overworked already, and they just can't, they don't have room for another artist. You just never know. And so it may not even have anything to do with you at all. So don't take it personally when the answer comes back no. Okay. um Again, so I've listed out a whole bunch of ways, 4 different ways to obtain an endorsement. Have I forgotten anything? Are there any other ways to obtain an endorsement that you're thinking of? If so, write it down below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you and to know, did you land an endorsement a different way than any of the ways that I listed out? I'd love to hear from you. So, feel free to write your comments and your thoughts down below. For the record, I just want to say before closing that I just want to tell you the companies that I endorse. So I already mentioned Istanbul Agop cymbals. Istanbul Agop cymbals. Aquarian drum heads. Innovative Percussion drumsticks and mallets, brushes, what have you. Canopus snare drums and snare wires. Creative Percussion, who makes all sorts of amazing percussion items, doodads and shakers and crashers and all sorts of noisemakers. Very, very cool company. Bass drum beaters and so forth. Prologix drum pads, the best drum pads in the world. Porter and Davies tactile drum thrones that are like bass thumpers, basically. And last but not least, as I mentioned, Humes Berg drum cases. And some of these companies I've been with for over 10 years. So, again, it's a relationship, and it's best to develop that relationship over time, and to have the artist reps kind of learn who you are, what kind of player you are, what kind of music that you play, what kind of stuff you're into, what your tastes are, You know, do you like bright cymbals or do you like dark cymbals? Do you like really small crashes or do you like really big washy crashes? You know, just stuff like that. So, yeah. So that's about it. You know, again, an endorsement, you know, don't, don't, when I was younger, I felt like, oh, if I just get an endorsement, like all these doors will open up for me. And it's just like, it's just like, it's like a badge of honor to have an endorsement. And I guess in some ways it sort of is, but remember, like I said, the success has to come first before the endorsements. You don't get the endorsements and then with endorsements you find success. It doesn't work like that. So that's what I'll leave you with for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Ring the bell. It really helps out my channel. I'm really looking to try and add more subscribers to the channel here on YouTube, and really helps encourage me to create these videos and create them more often. And if there's other topics that you want me to cover, please feel free to write them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to honor those requests. So once again, like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/BrianZach. Tons of content there for lessons, instructionals, all kinds of career advice and what have you. Always adding more to it as the weeks go on. Lastly, but not least, go to my site, brianzach.com. If you want to study with me, drum lessons, both here in person in Nashville, or if you can't get to Nashville, we can do drum lessons over FaceTime or Zoom, and you know, I can, or consultations. Even if you don't want to play, you just want to talk about career stuff or things like endorsements or any kind of, you know, if you just want to share information, I'll do that too. So brianzach.com for that. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.